We have two speakers for you tonight. We're so happy that they're here. So I'm going to introduce our first speaker, who's sitting right here, and she'll come within a little bit. This is Sophia Carba. Sophia, how Paula was saying, the young people in our community. She's definitely a young person. 23 years old from Nānākuli. She graduated from Nānākuli High School right up the road in 2009, and she attended UH Manoa. So when Edie was talking about the Hawaiian language program, that's what she got her bachelor's in. She's currently, Hawaiian studies, bachelor's in Hawaiian studies. And she's currently doing volunteer work at the United Nations of Hawaii division. So that's what she's going to talk to you about tonight. And she did leave some information at the registration table. So if you're interested in that, please feel free to pick that up before you leave. So I'd like to bring up Sophia.
So as she mentioned tonight, I will be talking about my life journey. I'm going to begin with my background, where I came from, who my family is, and eventually get up to what I'm doing today. So I was born in Honolulu, here on Oahu, and raised in 3 different areas, Maili, Ewa Beach, and Nānākuli. When I was a young kid, my grandma, or my aunt technically, she's my mother's oldest sister, and she's basically the babysitter of the family, or she was the babysitter of the family. She took care of me and my siblings, as well as her grandchildren, and also her nieces and nephews. And while my parents worked, again, she's the one who really raised us into the children that we became today. So on school days, me and my brother, we lived with her in Maili, and that is also where we went to school, Maili Elementary. And on the weekends and school breaks, we would go home to Ewa Beach. That is where my parents' house was. And so after one of my aunts passed, she was also living in my grandma's house, and we eventually moved into our family home up in Nānākuli, and that is where I currently reside. So our family is the Kaiāulu family. If any of you know of that name, that is my ohana. So, like it was previously mentioned, I graduated from Nānākuli High School in 2009. After elementary, or intermediate, I began to take an interest in business, but then I realized that I don't like math. I hate math, actually. And so I began to take another interest in communications, and thinking that I might want to work for the newspapers or be a reporter. So that is what I continued to work on up until graduation. So after graduation, I applied for the College Opportunities Program, or better known as COP. So during the program, they help you to transition from high school and into college. They help you to learn the basics, how to register for classes, which classes you should take, and how to get used to the campus setting. They take you around campus and get to know the different departments. And on a deeper level, they also teach you leadership roles and how to be a responsible adult. Because once you go into college, it's a very, very different setting. And what they don't tell you right ahead is how much freedom you have. So it's like, to explain the best I can, once you go to college, the teachers, they care about you, but they don't really. I hate to say that. I honestly have to say the Hawaiian language and the Hawaiian studies teachers, they genuinely care about their students. But when it comes to regular classes, like graduation requirement classes, a lot of the teachers' mental was, okay, get your stuff in or you'll fail. And that's how it basically is. If you don't be responsible, then it is very possible for you to fail. And that is what you don't want to do once you get into college. So this college program truly helped me transition into college. And one of the things we did in this program was take an actual college credit course, which was History 152. And this was basically on historical narratives, on global perspectives, on human societies and cross-cultural interactions from the 1500s into the present. And so these are actually, I'm not really sure if you can see it very well, but these people are my friends. They've become my best friends. I met them within the program, and we are still incredibly close up until today. So I met them about 5 years ago, and we've established great relationships with each other and great friendships, and they're basically family now. So once I passed the COP program, I got accepted into the freshman year, and I immediately began taking graduation requirements. So I began taking graduation requirements. I have to admit, and I will be honest with you, because of the history class, my GPA was really low. So I started college with a 1.0 GPA. That sounds really bad, I know, but I really worked hard, and I used graduation requirements, which is your basics, the social studies, science, math, English, and your language. And I used those classes to boost my GPA up. And so because I wanted to go into communications, their GPA requirement is 3.0. So I couldn't apply for that just yet. And I began taking Hawaiian language courses, and my first kumu was Kaluhi Aloha Eldridge. Now, she is a very mildly blunt person, to say the least. She'll tell you the truth, whether you want to hear it or not. And she's very straightforward, and she genuinely cares about her students. She herself was also a student while she was teaching us, so it kind of correlated. And so she really inspired us to better our lahui, our community, and to really understand our history, what happened to the Hawaiians and our culture, and to really stress the importance of knowing our language because it is a dying language. So like I said, I wanted to major in communications, but my GPA was low. So I eventually declared in Hawaiian language and also double majored with Hawaiian studies. So at UH Manoa, the two departments are separate. I don't know why, but there is the Kawaihuelani Center for Hawaiian Language and then Kamakakuokalani Center for Hawaiian Studies. Oops, that's wrong. And so for Hawaiian language courses, they're very simple. You basically take the courses that are required. And it's pretty much the same for Hawaiian studies, but in Hawaiian studies, there are different focuses. So there's your Native Hawaiian creative expression, there's envisioning the nation, there's comparative Hawai'inuiakea and indigenous studies, Hawaiian perspectives on resource management, and Native history and literature. So I took courses that related to communications, which would be Mo'olelo Oiwi, Native history and literature. But I eventually found my way taking an interest in sustainability and learning about resource management. And because I've also been working within the lo'i, because of Kamehameha scholarships, we really have to give back to the community. So I've been working with them, and that is where I found my interest in sustainability. So to move on to current times, I am a member of Soka Gakkai International Buddhist Organization, and I've been so from the time I was born, and also my mother. My grandparents joined this organization. They joined this organization in the 60s, and so we have about 3 generations in. Under the leadership of our third president, Daisaku Ikeda, our collective goal for the SGI is to realize world peace through each person becoming happy, or rather reaching enlightenment. And so it's like that saying, if you want to change the world, you have to change yourself first. So to mesh in, this is Joanne Tachibana. She's the president for the United Nations Association's Hawaii Division, and she is also a member of the SGI organization. And so Joanne Tachibana, she met up with my aunt one day. They ran into each other at the store, and so my aunt basically kind of told her what I've been involved in with school, and so she asked me if I wanted to come in and join one of their board meetings. So ever since, it's been about a year now, and I've been actively going to the meetings and going to events that they take part in, and it's been an interesting journey so far. So here is the motto, I guess, for the United Nations Hawaii Division. United Nations Association, Honolulu, is dedicated to educating and engaging global-minded citizens to support the principles and vital work of the United Nations, offering intergenerational opportunities to inspire individual action for the greater good and to create an environment of peace through multicultural dialogue to thereby achieve the goals of the Charter of the United Nations with the spirit of aloha at its core. So it kind of meshes in with my Buddhist organization. You know, we're really just working for world peace. And so I took that as like a sign that I should get involved. And one of my first events that I participated in was Children and Youth Day. In 1994, the Hawaii State Legislature and Governor established Children and Youth Day in Hawaii as the first Sunday of every October to celebrate and honor our children and youth and the special contributions they make to our community. So here are a few pictures of this past Children and Youth Day. So lots of organizations come out, lots of activities and fun rides, and a lot of different organizations. I can't even stress how much there was. I mean, thousands of people were there, hundreds of, different things happening. One of the things that were happening there was the performances. So to go back to this picture here, this group did a Hocus Pocus musical. And so Hocus Pocus is pretty much one of my favorite Halloween movies. And it really just, the youth just shined. And that's what I liked about it. It's an entire day devoted to the children, to giving them a voice, and that's what I really liked about it. So here are some other pictures. That's my niece. She was hanging out with my dad, and he really likes the cars. So another event that's coming up this Friday, I think the 24th, is United Nations Day. So every year, UNA USA chapters hold events across the country on October 24th to commemorate the 1945 signing of the United Nations Charter. UN Day provides a unique opportunity for UNA USA members and chapters to educate their communities on the work of the UN and the way it positively impacts the lives of millions around the globe. The United Nations was established to foster global prosperity and justice. So to go back into why I got involved with the UN, it really has to do with the youth. How can what I do with my profession or my particular career, what can that do to impact the children's lives and to make really how can it impact their lives? And so here is the motto UN. And in the Model UN, it's basically a student conference for students to step into the shoes of ambassadors of different countries, of the members that are actually participating within the UN. And that's from like Argentina all the way to Zimbabwe. And the students, or better known as delegates, debate current issues on the organization's vast agenda. They prepare draft resolutions, plot strategy, negotiate with supporters and adversaries. They resolve conflicts, navigate the UN's rules of procedure, and it's all in the interest of resolving problems that affect the world. So the Model UN, we had it was last month, September, and 90 students participated in the Model United Nations Conference in Iolani School, and these are the schools that participated. So we have Punahou, Kamehameha, St. Andrews Priory, Lanai High School, Kaiser, Kaimuki, Kalani, Mililani, Hawaii Baptist Academy, UH Laboratory School, Island Pacific Academy, St. Louis, and Nānākuli. To actually find out that Nānākuli has been involved or got involved with this, it just really blew my mind, because I had no idea that Nānākuli even knew of United Nations. And I was actually very fortunate to meet one of the advisors, and his name is Mr. John Bickle. He actually works at Iolani, and so he explained that the Iolani Model UN, President Nick Lee, who was 15, and Vice President Dre Tengen, who was 16, met with other student leaders to discuss the future of Model UN and engage in productive dialogue. They established systems of communication, agreed to meet once a semester, and resolved to cultivate partnerships between schools to promote a vibrant and dynamic Model UN community within the state of Hawaii. So to really, really go back into, giving the youth a voice, I thought this was very important. This allows students to literally think outside of the box and come up with resolutions, or, talk about issues around the world that maybe we don't know how to solve, but maybe they do. And so I found this very interesting, that we're participating in that. So to kind of wrap up a little, this is Jonathan Rinzler, right here, and he is the founder and executive director for the Aloha Movement Project, which is a nonprofit organization created to engage, empower, and educate aspiring leaders and entrepreneurs to create a social, environmental, and economically sustainable future. I am interning for him at the moment. I just started maybe about a month ago, and he's really teaching me the ropes of economically sustainable future, well, as far as what he knows, and for me to be able to share that information out with others, I thought would be a great idea. And so working with him, I've also gotten to know Education Energy, which is another organization that he created, which is a mentorship program designed to assist student entrepreneurs in upcycling their education energy as a renewable source. This program is designed to connect student school projects with real organizations out in the community so that they're never ever wasted again. So if you've ever noticed, when a student is done with a presentation or a project in school, whether it be high school or college, majority of the time they're just put on the side or thrown away. So what he does is he uses those past and future projects and helping you to be able to use them out in real organizations. And so your work can literally be utilized to make a real impact in nonprofits around the world or within Hawaii. And so I've been getting involved with that also, and it's it's really new to me. A lot of this is just a learning experience. I can't actually say that I have a real job, but I am here to say that it is okay to not be certain what you want to do with your life. As you know, coming from Nānākuli, a place where people literally think that we're not going to go very far. But I'm here standing before you saying that it is possible. And you don't have to know right away what you want to do with your future or have a certain path. But if you just follow your na'au or listen to your kupuna, your ancestors, you will eventually find your way, or your students, your children, your siblings, they will eventually find their way. And so that is what I came here to talk to you about. I'm sorry for all the technical difficulties, and thank you very much for listening.